What's up, Gear Mortals? Trey Xavier here. On today's edition of Gear God's Quality Control, we're going to be taking a look at the Mammoth bass plugin. Mammoth is an all-in-one bass processing plugin from Aurora DSP. It contains all of the tools that you'll need to take your tone from a dry DI all the way to a final mix tone in pretty much any style you can imagine. Today, I'm going to be using my Kiesel JBM5 multi-scale bass. Here's what it sounds like, just the dry DI signal with no processing on it at all. The first preset is called Primal. Let's check it out. Primal as advertised. Let's see what's next. Godzilla. This one's called Lambskin. These are all named after animals. This one's called Gent God, which means it only responds to open strings. Nice. This one is called Alligator. This one is called Lemur. So now we've heard it a little bit on a live bass. We're gonna put it on this DI track now, okay, which sounds like this without it. And now we're gonna go through all the different features of the plugin and see what kind of different sounds we can get out of it. So Mammoth is all about parallel bass processing, where we split our signal into two different halves, the low part and the high part, and we process them separately. And to that end, we've got a crossover here. This is one of the most important controls right out of the gate. We have the input, which you can set depending on how hot the bass signal is, and then the crossover is setting where it's separating the low from the high, and you can go all the way from 0 to 800 hertz. Then we have a drive section where you can set the amount of drive, and then there's three different channels. There's the red, purple, and blue channel, and they're each based on a different kind of distortion, and they all sound drastically different, which is really cool so that you can get different kinds of sounds for different types of music. So now let's go through and hear each of the different drive channels on the bass. Here's the red channel. The purple channel, kind of dirty. Kind of real dirty, gnarly distortion. Blue channel. I might like this one the best. Even if we've got the drive all the way up, we can turn the mix knob down. So that some of the clean high end comes through, which is a cool sound actually. Then we've got a tone stack. You can shape the tone even a little bit more. I actually like a bit of a scoop. We've got three different built-in cab sounds. Here's a 610, and then a 412. Here's an 810. And then you can use your own cab IRs. You can load them in right here. Here's like an SVT. Even just doing that much, we've got a whole world of sounds. We've got the output section over here where you can blend between the high and low more or less. Okay, so this is now just the low end. So this is everything under 200 hertz. We can make it even lower if we want. Okay, so then if we put the blend all the way up to the high end. So as you can hear, that affects where the high end is set. So now I'm gonna crank the drive all the way up for a minute so that you can kind of hear a little bit what the crossover actually does. So I'm gonna set it all the way down and then we'll listen a bit. So you can hear that as I'm doing that, the character of the bass is changing quite a bit. Mainly what you're hearing, especially with the drive up this high, is that the drive is affecting a larger portion of the frequency spectrum, and that really changes how distorted it sounds. If we have it set all the way down, that means the entirety of the bass signal is being processed. The high end, the mids, the lows, everything. So now let's take a look at these two knobs here, the bass and growl. So these are your low end controls. Up here, it's your high end control. Down here, we've got bass and growl, and that affects just the low end after the split. So you can probably imagine what bass does. Growl is something a little more interesting. Check this out. According to the manual, it controls the low-end harmonics. I don't really know what that is, but we can actually solo out the low end. So now we're only hearing what's under the crossover. Cool. And then you can, we didn't do this before, but you can also solo the high end. Hear just what's happening on the top side of the crossover. You know, maybe you just want like a little bit of zing from the drive. Or maybe a lot of drive, but blend it in just a little bit. And then you can mix it in with the DI signal. And then blend it back together. I think this growl knob is really unique. The last thing in the chain is this slam, which is a compressor, or maybe a limiter. Generally, I like my bass pretty good and slammed. I want especially the low end to just be really very, very consistent. But we're gonna hear it in a mix in a second, and we'll know if it's too much or too little. So now let's hear what it sounds like in a mix, because really isn't that the most important? We wanna know what it sounds like with everybody all at once. So let's check that out. So this is obviously a bit louder than I would normally have the bass, but you know, just so that you get an idea what it sounds like in there. Let's try a couple of different channels. Let's go to a slightly more dense part of the song. I managed to neglect talking about the melt and the brute features, which are actually pretty cool. So here's what it sounds like regular. Brute. Then here's melt. So it affects the high end pretty much to either make the bass stick out a bit more or to make it blend in a little bit better. Let's hear it in the mix. Here's a little bonus feature that I almost forgot. You can resize the GUI. Look at that. What the hell? Oh my God, it goes almost full screen. Why doesn't every plugin do that? That's so sick. How much time did they spend on just that feature alone? I don't even know if there's a benefit to that, but it's cool as shit. All right, you've had your fun now. Wow. There is so much awesome stuff in this plugin. I am absolutely blown away by this. It's also extremely cheap for a plugin, especially considering all of the stuff that it can do and the huge variety of heavy bass tones that you can get out of this. I'm so impressed with this plugin, not even just for the price. Honestly, I didn't even look at the price until I'd already messed around with it a bunch. And I think it's probably easily worth twice what they're asking for it, but it's pretty bonkers. Pretty much any heavy bass tone you could possibly imagine and more are incredibly easy to achieve with the Mammoth. It's got controls I never even have come across before, like the growl control. I can't think of another plugin that has this. I don't know, maybe I just don't know about it. This is a parameter I never would have considered controlling on the bass. I don't even know exactly really what it does, but it's a sound that you hear and you go, oh yeah, Where's that been all my life? It's an absolute one-stop shop for taking your dry DI bass tone and turning it into a completely polished final product. It just took me a very small amount of time to figure out what all of these different controls did, where each part went in the signal chain, and how each one affected the other one, how they interacted. And then it was off to the races, getting just the best bass tones I've maybe ever gotten out of a plugin. I think the most important thing that Mammoth gives you is control, like absolute laser precision control over your bass tone. I think they strike a really good balance between really powerful processing, but also extremely simple and easy to use. And that's really tough to hit. I was able to get almost everything that I wanted out of it without having to crack the manual. This might be my favorite plugin of 2020 so far. Aurora DSP is brand new and they are coming right out of the gate with some crazy awesome stuff. All right guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the song that you heard in this video, it's the song Purgatory by my band In Virtue. Floating on the screen here somewhere is the music video for that song, along with the link where you can subscribe to the band. And as always, if you haven't already, mash that subscribe button, smack the bell to join the notification squad. Drop me a like and leave a comment in the comments section letting me know what you thought of this plugin, because I want to know. And I'll see you real soon.